Adam and Sadir had tied the knot 13 years ago. Their son was 9 and their daughter was 6. They were a typical family, blending seamlessly into the fabric of society. Both Adam and Sadir were employed, and their children dutifully attended school and kindergarten. Adam took great joy in his job. It provided not only a hefty paycheck but genuine satisfaction. Sadir, on the other hand, viewed her work as a grueling chore and would often count down the minutes until she could head home. Occasionally, she was so drained that she'd lock herself in the bathroom and weep, thinking her sobs went unheard. The concept of a vacation was a siren call, promising delightful food, novel sights, seaside retreats, sandy shores, and new friends. Sadir longed for a break. She was absolutely fed up with her job, and for good reason. Her pal, Peyton, was heading to the coast and asked her to tag along. Sadir had stashed away some cash, making the trip financially manageable. So, she hastily submitted a vacation request, funded out of her own pocket. She blindsided Adam with the news, informing him she'd already secured the tickets. Her husband was miffed. "That's not how things should be done," he grumbled. "We need to make these decisions together." But Sadir stood her ground, unwavering. Despite Adam's grumblings, he couldn't sway her. In the end, they parted on sour terms after a heated argument, each uttering more than intended. At Annapurna Airport, Sadir confided in Peyton about her husband's lack of understanding regarding her solo vacation wish. Peyton reassured her, winked, and promised that soon the quarrel and her husband would be far from her thoughts. Upon their arrival at the hotel, and after checking in, Peyton confessed that she was on this trip with a purpose. She had been engaging in correspondence with a gentleman from a different town for several months, and they had now decided to rendezvous in a neutral setting. Sadir, taken aback, exclaimed, "What about Adrian?" when she learned about her friend's paramour. "What about Adrian?" Peyton retorted, answering a question with another question. "I'll return, and we'll go back to our usual life. But these 10 days are just for me and him," she added with a wistful smile. This got Sadir thinking. Perhaps she, too, could spend these days not alone or with her spouse, but with someone who might uplift her spirits. Sensing Sadir's thoughts, Peyton said, as if reading her mind, that her lover wasn't coming alone, but with his brother. Sadir viewed this as a sign. The men were not due to arrive until the next morning, leaving the evening entirely to themselves. Peyton and Sadir picked a restaurant for their dinner outing. Sadir, anxious with thoughts of a betrayal yet to occur, ended up having one too many cocktails. A tipsy Sadir was practically carried back to the hotel by her considerate friend, Peyton. The next morning, plagued by a hangover, Sadir barely managed to open her eyes and noticed her friend already fully dressed and made up. Peyton, eager to dazzle her lover, beamed and said, "You rest up," when she saw Sadir stirring. "I'm off to meet Colton and Cameron. Catch you later." Sadir re-emerged just in time for supper, to which she was invited by her companion and her circle of friends. Donning a stylish dress that accentuated her physique, she and Peyton drove to the designated spot. The gentlemen were already there, awaiting their arrival, and Peyton made introductions. Cameron caught Sadir's eye right away, and she spent the entire evening playfully engaging with him. They ended up spending the night together. Everything unfolded just as Peyton had described. Sadir's thoughts about the spat with her husband, and about him in general, began to fade away. She wholeheartedly embraced the thrill of the moment and the fervor it brought. The notion of indulging in something sinful and secretive that no one would ever uncover excited her. Throughout the 10 days, her husband didn't reach out once. Truth be told, Adam was so upset over his wife's actions that he resolved not to speak to her until she acknowledged her wrongdoings and sought his forgiveness. Little did he know, Sadir felt none of the remorse he expected. At the very moment he was fantasizing about her return and their reconciliation in the conjugal bed, Sadir was kneeling before another man. The vacation zipped by in what felt like no time at all. While the women were reluctant to part from their paramours, reality beckoned. They all had to go back to their everyday lives. Once home, Sadir did, as expected, apologize to Adam. His icy demeanor melted. He had missed her deeply, and their routine started to fall back into place. Work, home, kids, everything was smoothing out. Yet, Sadir stayed in touch with Cameron throughout the day while at work, texting continuously and sometimes even video calling during lunch breaks. Sadir realized that the chances of meeting him again were slim, and their connection was merely a delightful memento of their vacation. Yet she couldn't help but keep the conversation going. She was charmed by his manner of speaking and the way his face lit up when he smiled, especially during their calls. One day, he surprised her with a lavish bouquet of roses at her workplace, prompting Sadir to entertain the idea that perhaps this holiday fling had taken an unexpected turn towards something more. Her phone was filled with pictures and videos of her and Cameron, and of the four of them by the sea. In the evenings, reclining in the tub, she found herself drawn to these memories, revisiting those blissful and unburdened 10 days. During those moments, there was no husband, no kids, no job, and no obligations. Just her paramour, and the ocean. Time marched on. Winter had arrived, and New Year's Eve was just around the corner. Cameron, ever the persuasive one, tried to coax Sadir into spending the January holidays together somewhere, but she stood her ground. Her husband would never forgive such a transgression, and so the matter was dropped. Then he sent her a gift via courier, a bouquet and a delicate pendant. Sadir was moved to tears by the gesture. It was so unexpected and touching. In the meantime, she and Adam were deep into holiday preparations, shopping for groceries, picking out gifts, and finalizing their outfits for New Year's Eve and various corporate parties. These tasks consumed their thoughts as the days ticked down to December 31. Sadir made up her mind to cut ties with her lover come the new year and let the whole episode dissolve into a pleasant, but ultimately fanciful dream. Without uttering a word to Cameron, she planned to block him on every platform as the clock struck midnight on January 1. But as luck would have it, she never got the chance. On that fateful day, Adam had left his phone behind at work. In the evening, finding himself bored after soaking in the shower, he picked up her phone to idly scroll through her social media feed. At that very moment, a message from someone named Cameron popped up, expressing to Adam's wife how much he missed her. Adam was left speechless, delving into the chat between Sadir and this mysterious Cameron. Adam was floored by what he saw. Explicit photos, intimate texts, and the final blow. A collection of snapshots from Sadir's recent vacation. Torn apart, Adam sank into his favorite armchair in the hallway. Sadir's phone clutched in his hands, and a look of utter desolation plastered across his face. Sadir walked in and instantly recognized the damning photo of herself with Cameron displayed on the screen. "You've got it all wrong," she stammered. "I can explain everything." "There's nothing you need to explain," Adam interrupted, struggling to keep his composure and not shout. He couldn't bear the thought of waking and scaring the children. "No need to explain. It's clear as day without you saying another word." He hurled her cell phone onto the floor and mercilessly stomped on it with his foot. He unrelentingly pressed down until the screen became adorned with a delicate spider web of fractures. Adam, gasping for air, stared intently at the ground. The anguish of his beloved's betrayal consumed him, tearing at his insides, and it felt as if a mere fraction more would rend him asunder. Divorce was an unavoidable outcome. The couple divided their assets and children accordingly. Naturally, the children remained in their mother's care, as is customary, but Adam clung to the hope that he could sway them to come live with him. At that very moment, Sadir was faced with the unfortunate job loss, leaving her with the daunting task of seeking new employment to support her family. Her relationship with Cameron had come to an end, and she harbored skepticism towards other men. They all remained fleeting lovers, lasting only a couple of nights, but she had no desire to build a substantial connection with anyone. During solitary evenings, Sadir nostalgically revisited the memories of her life with Adam, their wedding, causing her to weep as she contemplated the one question that plagued her thoughts. Why did she embark on the affair that would fundamentally transfigure her existence? Alas, no answer resided within her.